Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Bizarre and the Unknown. I'm your host, E.D. Testerman, and we have an awesome guest that I just met this morning on the Williams Show. So if you didn't catch the Williams Show, everybody, Miss Amanda Quill with Cold Spotters
Hello.
Paranormal. Man, if you Tyler, wouldn't mind, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, besides rocking that kick-ass jersey.
Yes, right. Yeah, I'm Amanda Quill, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. So we're actually in New Westminster, and I'm the founder. And lovely. I love being part of it. Cold Spotters, a paranormal group, and actually a full network worldwide now. But we are based out in New Westminster in British Columbia. I don't know who I am. That's who I am.
Yeah. So tonight, so for those of you who don't know, I did a paranormal investigation Friday night at a place called the Springfield Commercial Club. Now, Springfield Commercial Club was built in 1874 to help service the railroad hey, Carl, when the railroad came in. Um, so this has got a lot of history in it. But a lot of people don't understand. From Division Street north of Division, it was not known as Springfield. It was known as Moon City, also known as Frisco City. Um, so this was in the part that technically was not part of Springfield one time. This was 100% owned by the railroad. So there's a lot of history here between the construction of it, and the maintenance of it, the running of it. And of course, with all that stuff that goes on with that, there's also a lot of crime that will come in. Hate to say it, but when you bring something like that into an area, there is crime. I kind of wanted to let you guys know what happened, show you a few things before I put the video out. Hey, David, show you guys, a few things that I caught. I'm still going through audio or video. I've got through one set. I'm not even halfway through the next set, and I've caught some stuff. It's really nice, so I'm trying to get everything stitched together. But that's kind of what today's going to be about. You guys can ask me questions about the investigation. I'm anxious to hear Amanda's point of view on this stuff to see what she thinks or what I caught. This is type of stuff that I just absolutely love. Hey, David. Um, So you've been researching. So for a little bit of backstory on me, because I know we didn't get into that this morning. I've been dealing with paranormal since I was 3. My late grandmother, my mom's mom, was the very first spirit I ever encountered, and she actually picked me up and held me and said, "Eric, I love you. I'm always going to be here for you, and I'm going to protect you." When I was born, my lungs were kind of put together, so I had to be shooken 24/7 to stay alive. So my mom and her mom, my grandmother, is the ones that kept shaking me so that way I could breathe and stay alive. Hey, Scott. So there was a real close connection between me and my late grandmother. Sadly, she came from the Smith side, which was into the dark magic, and with all that other stuff. Hey, welcome to the show. It's good to see you. So there was a lot of, let's just say, not so good stuff happened, and how she hey, Scott, became unalive was not the best of things. So that fast forward another 3 years, my little baby brother was 3 at the time, and I was 6, and we in St. Joe, Missouri. We had them old school homes that had the attic next to the bedrooms on the top floor. So one side of the house was an attic, the other side was the bedrooms, and we was always hearing noises in there. And then I tried to talk my little brother into going and checking them noises out, because I mean, for 3 years I was dealing with these noises. I was like, man, I ain't there, Hey, Jeff, and he wouldn't do it, so I finally did it, and that's when I seen my grandmother still there, and she was floating in the air, had her arms out, and said it to me again, "Eric, I love you. I'm always going to be here for you, and I'm going to protect you." And for a long time, my mom thought I was full of, malarkey, and kept trying to tell me I was seeing stuff from there, but I described her dress and everything. And finally, years later, my mom goes, "Yeah, that's what she was buried in." And it sounds like my mom.
Wow.
So that step into
That's quite the first step. That's yeah. What a gift. What a gift that is to have that.
yeah. And memory serves me correctly, you got your start at 8. If I remember right, you just talked about that this morning.
Well, I did. Well, I think that's when I first realized that this could be something that I could do. Before that, I was just like, I want to do what Scooby Doo does, kind of thing. I mean, anyone asks what you want to be when you grow up. So I didn't realize that there was such a thing as a paranormal investigator. But yeah, it was ghost stories for me, and I didn't have my first real experience until I was about 14. But I was like lifelong obsession with ghost stories, and then I thought when I was old enough, I would be able to see ghosts. I don't know why I thought that when you're kids you didn't see them, which is funny because if you think about it now, it's very the other way around a lot of times with some kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize because they get to watching that stuff on TV. Man, first down. People get to watch TV and they think, "Oh, hey, Jessica, good to see you. We got a superstar in the chat, Jessica Jones from the Cryptid Hunters herself." A lot of people don't realize because of this, daggone TV, that anytime you do an investigation, you're not always going to have activity. Even in a high activity place, there's a lot of times you will not get activity. I mean, I've ran into that myself in a place that I absolutely knew beforehand had activity because I personally have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing people don't realize is when it comes to actually seeing a ghost, Jessica, when it comes to actually seeing ghosts, man, and a foggy apparition, white, shadowy apparition is actually kind of rare, but a full body detailed apparition is extremely rare. You're not going to run into that all the time. About 97% of the stuff that you find on these investigations is actually going to be EVPs or orbs, which I got a clip of a bunch of orbs because my cameras, my daggone cloud that my stuff for these, I got 4 security cameras, night vision outdoor security cameras,
right,
that I put up during the investigation. Is the first time I've got a chance to actually use them on an actual investigation. And I had to pay for, will you guys cut it out? Sorry, the animals. I actually had to pay for the subscription for the cloud coverage. Oh, why am I still on Pythian Castle? I don't want the Pythian Castle. Sorry, I was showing some stuff off and it was on the wrong folder. And so it didn't get saved. I mean, this is probably the most orb activity that I've had in a very, very long time. I mean, I'm talking about, I was probably early 20s the last time I had this much orb activity in one location.
Wow.
So, man, I was jazzed. I mean, I was psyched. When I put out the video, you're going to hear me talking about it because, it's just bam, 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 bam. And it was great. Which, now, I've talked about this on my show before. I've talked about it on other shows. Orbs are not necessarily always going to be paranormal. For us, spring, summer, and fall, you have to factor in insects. This time of year, insects ain't going to be. Hey, Melissa, is not really going to be the factor. But dust, which is another one, is you also have to factor that in as well. So now all these orbs that we seen the other night could also be dust. I have to make that known. I'd be doing everybody a disservice if I did not do that. But what I find intriguing is some of these orbs was setting off my motion detectors on my cameras. Dust is not going to set off the motion detectors. That's the ones that I get. I get extremely excited. Let me bring up my share screen. So these are from my phone because the things didn't get saved, which I've got memory cards coming in now.
And we're doing investigation right now at the Commercial Club, and there's another orb. There is, that one turned my motion sensor on. There is a lot of activity going on in this place.
So that was the first one. I was taking that for phone. This was stuff that I was sending out on my hey, Carl. short videos for my YouTube. Um, I'll try to go easy on you, Carl. I'll try to go. um, and then, of course, I sent one set to Jessica and I sent one set to DA. And these next two would be the ones that I sent to Jessica and DA. And what's sad is even though I got these, this don't even show the justice on how much orb activity I was catching at one time. But here's the next one. Right there.
Mm.
I don't know if you guys could see that one that shot across there. And then you got
Dude, we are getting so much orb activity here, so much EVPs. I wish he was here, bub. I mean, if you can watch these screens that I got going on these cameras,
there went another one.
this orb activity upstairs and downstairs is just off the hook. We've been getting thumps and other stuff going on at the same time.
So this was the kind of stuff that was extremely light compared to what was going on all night.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Tracy. So what's been your experience on these orbs when it comes to your investigations? I'm kind of curious.
Well, for the longest time we were actually not really counting orbs, and then we had a big orb come through, and so we wanted to see if we caught it onto the camera, because anytime I've seen an actual orb, like in person, seen a big ball of light, let's say, when I look back at it in the camera, it's just this tiny little orb that, you would call dust, or you would call a bug, what have you. So I wanted to see what the other one that kind of flashed and was like right there in front of one of my investigators looked like on camera. We went back and looked at the camera, and we actually caught an arm like kind of waving out into the hallway. So it was really so now we pay attention to see what are those orbs. Is it something that's manifesting, or maybe the end of something? We are trying to get a night kind of scope that is basically like sensitive enough to take away like you can tell if it's a reflection or illumination compared to an actual light source on these cameras, but they're very expensive. So it's like, it's hard to do, but I used to be of the school of mind to, throw it all out. If it's, because orbs are just, dust, what have you, lens flare. And now it's like with more and more research, it's not always. And we're probably missing out on a lot. So that's kind of where we are with our investigation, is we're now starting to we're starting to listen a little bit more. Yeah.
I mean, they're great, but I mean, it is a problem that people don't understand, is not all orbs are spiritual. Mm-hmm. Some of them are just simply dust or insects given the time of year. But I still find them fascinating, especially when that one, if you've seen it, tripped my motion sensor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff really gets me excited. Man, my internet is acting up. I do not like this. I was wondering because if I got my software up in the background. Oh, I thought it was me.
Oh, no, it's probably you.
Let me drop down this. Yeah, I've got the software up in the background because I was doing stitching videos together and stuff like that, and so I don't even maybe playing havoc on my stuff because I was trying not to lose everything I got. For those of you guys that seen my Pythian Castle investigation, like I was telling Amanda in the backstage, I like carrying cameras on my back because you'll be surprised how much stuff you caught. And I showed that video. I mean, it's all stitched in my Pythian Castle investigation on my YouTube channel of that actually being a prime example. I caught a figure coming out from the window from a third story floor and then ducking back in really quick. But I mean, that's stuff that you can, that the reason why you do that. And sadly, so for those of you who don't know, my youngest daughter went on with me on this investigation. This was her very first paranormal investigation. And she got to go with me. I want to drop this other one down because that may be playing hell on it too. Trying to do some fancy stuff on a low grade computer may not be helping it. But so she trying to learn the camera. She's trying to learn all this other stuff, and it's just like, but it's okay. I mean, it was her first time, and
That's how you learn.
She had a lot of fun.
That's great.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
really
I had
cool
to
when
call it
our
off
kids
a
do it,
little
too.
early. She was getting tired.
Mhm.
Dude, I don't know how to explain it, but having my youngest daughter with me for the very first time on something like this that I've been doing for so long was amazing. I mean, it was just, the feeling is just to be able to share that with your kids.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable. I
I
mean,
think it's
it really
so
is.
it's so cool to see, and there's so many so many cases that I'm seeing now where it's like mother and son, or father and daughter, or what have you, but the kids are coming out now, and the kids are learning, and it's like it's so important because I mean we're not getting any younger. So someone's got to take these reins.
Heck yeah, man. And it is, like it's harder for me to move around with my injuries. I mean, I spent 13 years in the military jumping
Mhm.
out of helicopters. I've
Wow.
been farming most of my life, 18-wheeler mechanic in most of my life. I mean, I'm fighting.
Mhm.
I've literally used and abused my body, and here I am at my age, and it's catching up. Sadly, I hate to admit
Mhm.
it sometimes, but it's true.
It tends to do
Here
that.
is so one of the things I used, I've got different kinds of GoPros I put up as well. Sadly, one of these two of these that I got, which is going to be where these were taken off. Tracy, yeah, Tracy's been put old Jacob in a bacon coma today. Feeding little Jacob bacon. Um, so sadly, these didn't have night visions on them, but I still like to use them, and this is why. So let me get this popped up here, and this is some stuff that I caught on it. Oh, I just thought of something. I've got my volume turned down. You guys may not be able to hear that. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it to play in here. If I can download it and get it to play in here, we'll do it this way, where you guys might be able to hear it a little bit better. Because I got my volume turned down so it doesn't blow my speakers up. Sometimes I'm used to being on by myself, so I can have the speakers turned up a lot of times.
Mm.
So I'm going to let that download and talk for a few minutes. I won't be able to interact with chat for guys for a few minutes until this uploads, but once it uploads, we'll play it and kind of show you some of that stuff. Yeah, okay. Just waiting on it to upload. And then, of course, I guess while we're waiting on that, one thing I could do. So I love my EVPs.
Mm.
The EVPs is, like I said earlier, that's going to be about 97% of what you capture on a paranormal investigation.
Mhm.
And let me get in here. Let's start off with this one. Hello, my name is Eric.
My name is Jessica.
We're here to talk with you. Would you be willing to talk with us? Now, sadly, I can't fast forward this, so we'll just have to I don't think I can. No, I can't. Oh, yeah, I can. I figured it out.
What year is it?
Oh, wait, that's downstairs. That wasn't near as active as I thought it would be.
It's like I'm recording now. This is going to allow me.
Now, the cool thing is, during this first EVP session that I was doing,
How many of you are here? Something moved. That could have been one of us, or something crossed in front of it. Triggered the light. That's motion censored. And being at that distance and the fact that we've moved around a lot, I would say it's something close to it.
I don't mind if you say my name.
You can say, if you want to say your name, you're more than welcome to.
now
My name is Jessica.
cool thing about this, Mary joined us during this time. So
We come here to communicate with you.
Mary's with us during
We
this
do not
EVP.
mean no harm or ill will towards you. We value you and want to know of your story.
I wish I could control this better or I could get right to the hits.
Are you willing to talk with?
Oh, there we go. I missed it. Okay. Okay, we'll start there.
Stand, start to go back down.
Come on,
It's not
baby,
a system
down, baby.
where I can rely on that right now.
Do you often get that kind of
Yeah,
communication?
hey, that's why I use that. It's pretty effective.
Yeah.
What I don't get on here, you'll be surprised what I catch on this and this as well.
But will it be sounds like that? Will it be
You'll
voices?
hear usually it's whispers.
Faucet.
There you go. Faucet.
Bathroom?
Yeah, there's a bathroom over there. Is that where you're at?
I hope not. I was peeing in there earlier.
This is my daughter.
I hear a cat.
Did you work for the railroad?
Baby kitty.
Which?
Which?
She said which, as in like, which. Now, this is something that's happened times that night. But this is the type of stuff. I mean, it gets better later on, but y'all, I'm waiting on this. I'm at 99, at 100%. Now I should be able to play it here shortly. I'll get your comments just in a second here. Outstanding. Come on, finish up. We're almost done. So this is the type of stuff that you're going to see on investigations is you're going to get EVPs. Now, the tricky part is, for me anyways, is trying to figure out what they're talking about. It's a jigsaw puzzle because sometimes they can come in really good sentences. Sometimes it's like, a lot of times it's like this where it's broken up. So you're trying to piece the puzzle together. And this is the frustration part about EVPs. Let me get to these comments real quick. I'm sorry, guys. My cat, oh my God, the cat rubs on the computer when she sees ET. She wrinkles her eyes. It's funny but cute. She's never done that before. Hey, man, I'm good with the ladies. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't get no missed questions or anything. This is, I think it was like I caught like 3 or 4 things on this camera here, and this is what they. Well, let me try this again. Okay, so it's acting up. That's why I don't like playing those on here. It's why I usually do it on this other one. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Deidre, it is. So I'm going to have to go back to originally what I was doing. You guys forgive me for a second. I'm going to have to turn my speakers like way up. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear it. Let me get it set up and ready. Oop, oop, oop. Back up. I didn't want you to start yet. Back up, baby. Back up, baby. No crap. Hit the right button here. We'll be doing all right. Okay.
I definitely heard that jack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, we're sorry. I turned it back down. Yeah, I cannot make out exactly what he's saying. The closest thing I can come up is to like capitalist Jack, but
Mm.
I'm not 100% sure. And that get out was, oh, come on, work over here for me. Thank you. Um, see, Melissa had said something here. Amanda, we watched Williams Nighthawks podcast this morning. Did you have a group Facebook page that we can follow?
Yes, we do. Let me check what it's. We're Cold Spotters Vancouver, but we have Cold Spotters Paranormal Investigations and Events. I think it's our main page, and we also. Well, I have my own AQ Amanda Quill as well. Let me make sure I have that right because there's so many Cold Spotters now. It's really cool, but also it's very confusing. I'll be honest. All right, here we go. Yeah, Cold Spotters Paranormal Investigations and Events, and it's a picture of a ghost and a little boy holding hands, walking down the lane.
Cool. I'll have you. I'll end up messaging you later so I can get that, and I'll put it out, blast it out for everybody. Deidre had a question for me, Eric. I'm curious if Jessica is experiencing any interesting dreams after an investigation. Normally, she shares her dreams with me, and because I try to help her try to figure them out, and she hasn't this evening. So as of now, no. But there's a very common practice that I like to do. So this was something I was teaching her after a paranormal investigation. Is the before we shut anything down, before we pack up anything, before we do anything, the very first thing we do is I always say, thank you for communicating with us. Or if we've seen something, thank you for showing yourself to us. Um, do not have our permission to attach yourself to us or any of our equipment. When we leave, you must stay here. And that was something I learned the hard way growing up doing this stuff is if you do not state that, you can bring something home with you, which will cause dreams. It will cause odd things happening in your home, this, that, and everything. Hey, Vicky, how's it going? Um, this is why it's important. Why I say to do that. So I'm not. She hasn't expressed that she has. So I would say no as of right now. I don't know how you guys handle yours, Amanda.
Well, we definitely we have what I promote is like everyone kind of follow their own belief or ritual when it comes to investigating. So I don't make everyone do the same thing or what have you. But we'll all leave an investigation at the end very differently with our own traditions or our own practices. The same time, I also do when I first get to an investigation, I go in there and I introduce myself, I introduce the team, I introduce our intentions mostly, and then when we close down, I do the same thing and let them know we're gone, give them the appreciation, everything that I can. But I do that for the whole team, and I'll do that myself, and that's something that very personal that I do. And then after, if I do feel that little bit of funk on me, or there's I've taken something on. I will I'll have a bath. I'll like Epsom salts. I'll put all the medicine in there and just dunk myself under and cleanse. I have a very particular way that I leave investigations, and I never say what it is, but it's something that I do personally. And I've actually now my team knows that I do this. They don't know what it is, so they're always trying to watch me when I leave. When I leave, what is it? What is it that she does? Yeah, because there's something that I do.
Mm.
I leave to an investigation or just a known haunt, let's say.
Mhm. Yeah, and like for me, most of the time, unless I'm in a pretty negative place, I don't have that much activity. Now, sometimes I get negative things come to me after doing an investigation, but I also have that stuff when I'm not doing an investigation. So, what I usually do is I put this on this morning. That's why I went blank on the screen for a little bit this morning during William's show because my brother of mine made me a medicine bag. So if I start feeling like, hey, I need that extra protection, like something negative, of course, with what I've been dealing with, and what's funny was just before we came live, I was getting that tapping under on my vents again right here in my office. And the cat's here with me. The one dog was at my feet, the other one was on her pillow. So I was like, it's not the animals. So
It wasn't any
dealing with
coffee.
what no, no, that's right here. Dealing with that type of stuff, that's just some of the stuff that I do because sometimes you need that edit. Sometimes just saying, hey, don't do this, or you're not welcome here, especially if you're dealing with supernatural entities. You need a little bit more extra protection.
Yes. Yes.
Deidre said the North Seers are in the Ragnar bloodline from his semi-wife. Yes, which I hail from, Ivar the Boneless, which is one of the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok. So that's kind of when I was talking about earlier, the Seers in my bloodline. Deidre, that was kind of what I was hinting at there because of my family. Now, on my testament side is where we come from, Ragnar Lothbrok. And now on the blacks, I have not traced it back, so I don't know where their bloodline is. They're a little harder to trace back than the Testermans are. But yes, you're absolutely correct on that. Make sure I didn't miss any more here. Okay, good. So here's a little bit more of them EVPs.
All right.
Frisco?
We were talking about the Frisco.
Said witch, W-I-T. So like a
Oh,
witch.
it wasn't. We have a witch. It
Yeah.
also means Witch Railroad. I wondered.
Yeah, when I Shirley.
So
you work for the Fresco.
which I misunderstood it because I didn't
Were
have the
you-
phone next to me.
True. Well,
That's for something key right there when I said, because I mistaken and it was actually her name was Shirley.
Okay.
And I heard it wrong. I misunderstood what she said. And that's why I asked. And because I thought she meant Shirley, no, her name was actually Shirley. And I didn't catch that at the time. And so I asked the wrong question. And when I asked, did you work for so you worked for the Frisco Railroad? And that's when she came back and said, true.
Ah, yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought at first was I heard someone say like Witch Railroad, or that's what I would have thought at first. Yeah. But I like that witch cackle. Whoever did that.
That was me.
So
I was really blessed. This was the start of the investigation. We literally just got all the equipment set up, turned down the lights, and went upstairs. Now, the interesting thing is sadly, I didn't have nothing recording at the time because we were in the process of setting up. But upstairs where this EVP was taking place, we were hearing thumping and walking. And it sounded like somebody, hey, Larry, it sounded like somebody ran up the stairs. And so I was like, damn, I don't have nothing recording. So I was actually, the only things they weren't even recording now I think about it, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I was thinking maybe these security cameras caught it, but I forgot I wasn't recording at the time because I was still setting up. And then throughout the night, one time, which was my mother Shirley Firewater. Vicky asked, "Do you pray before you start asking for protection while investigating?" For me, Vicky, it really depends on the type of energy it's in that home. It's if it's even in that building. If it's a really, really negative energy, then generally I do. Now I don't like wearing my medicine bag during investigations because that can prevent you from having an interaction. So, so generally, I don't. Now, most of the time, which I had done a pre-investigation before I went and done this one, because I wanted to get the feel of the building to see what I was dealing with. Because my daughter was interested in coming, I didn't want to take her on her first investigation to something very, very negative. So when I originally done my initial investigation, got to feel the building, got to feel what's there. I knew it was okay to bring her. I didn't bring my medicine bag on that one. Now, the mistake I made on that werewolf investigation when I did that initial investigation to get the idea of the area, that was a fault of mine. I should have brought that because whatever was trying to lure me away from where I was, I should have had my medicine bag and I didn't.
Mm.
So, and that was one of the few times I've been ran off an investigation because I knew something was old, something was powerful, and something was negative trying to draw me away. And if
Wow.
I know within my heart, people may think I'm crazy, but I know if I would have followed that feeling and went to where it was trying to take me to, I would not be here right now. And there is supernatural entities in these woods that will do that to you.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
so
Just tricksters and
mhm,
mimickers, and yeah, like basically luring you. Yeah, and
yeah,
like myself, I think I mentioned earlier today, and I'll repeat it now. I'm in the process of learning because I never used to protect at all prior to investigating. I
mhm,
always thought of it. It's like, why would you mute the music you want to listen to? Um, and I'm trying to kind of evolve that thought pattern onto other thoughts, like maybe am I clearing myself for the investigations energy. So and that's actually something my
mhm.
son has been kind of instilling in me a little bit, which is really cool to learn from them. But yeah.
Um, Melissa says, I believe when you start an investigation, always be respectful to whoever you are communicating with. There are too many paranormal shows on TV that are very disrespectful and very antagonistic. Yes,
Hmm.
I know for me personally, I believe in that. That's why I'm not a big
Hmm.
fan of them. Just like provoking, I don't like to provoke because this is my mindset on provoking. When I leave that building, I am not the one that's suffering the wrath if you piss them entities off.
Hmm.
The owners of that building are. So why would I want to put that onto the person that I'm trying to help or that I am? Well, I'm helping either way when I do an investigation. So why put that on somebody when you're trying to help them? That's just not very cool, and that's just my mindset. I don't know how you feel on that.
Well, I think that if you're being a jerk, you're being a jerk, and yeah, don't do that, and don't bring that kind of negativity into someone else's home. Exactly what you're saying, or someone else's space, and leave them with that. I think that when it comes to actually instigating, like, are we instigating change, or are we instigating just like a emotional negative reaction? We got to keep that in mind, and be very intentful with what we do. If you're taking control of something, if you're taking control of a situation, yeah, provoking does work, and that's kind of how we um, find our like status within a community, or within, you know rank, our rank, right? So we do communicate like that on a regular basis. So why wouldn't we in the afterlife? But I think it's like, you're not going to outrank a ghost, first of all. No, but like, just being aware of what you're doing, what your energy is doing. Just like in real life, you're making a decision, and you are responsible for that. And if it's something that you can't be responsible at the end, don't do it. I said
Heck
that
yeah.
provokingly.
Sorry, I was checking. Damn, they're up 10-7. Daggone it, they scored a touchdown. Um, I can't play the game live because I'm doing the EVP stuff. So a few minutes later, the EVP started picking up more and more and more. And this is going to be common in investigation because a lot of people don't understand when you come into a building and you're new to that building, sometimes these entities, they don't know you, so they're going to be hard to trust you. So trying to elicit a response or a communication with them can be difficult at times because they need to get used to you. And this is where, for me, what's always worked for me is a friendly, I just, even though they try to push me away, it's like, hey, I'm sorry you feel that way, but, I was given permission to be here, so I'm allowed to be here. Let us talk. I want to hear your story. I kind of try to ease them down. And you'll see quite often, not every time, but quite often after that, they're starting to go, oh, hey, this dude don't mean us harm. Okay. And then you'll start getting more and more and more and more. And then your investigation is like popping from right there. That's been my experience on that. I don't know if that's been for you guys or not, but that has been mine.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree with that. I think it's like in real life when we assert ourselves, when we're actually assertive, not aggressive, we do get a little bit more respect. And I think if you need to kind of this is who we are. Yeah. We've introduced ourselves. We're being respectful. If there's something that we're not doing, that's let us know. It's another mode of communication. So yeah, we'll take advantage of that, but we definitely do stand our ground the same.
Yeah. I'll hit a couple more of these comments before I get back to the EVPs. David said, I may have had a spirit tell me I was creepy while recording in a graveyard one day. I thought it was funny. Believe it or not, that happens quite often. It really, really does. Or sometimes like in here, like you'll hear it, especially when I put out the video when I'm finally done. This, believe it or not, happens quite often. And sometimes, quite a bit of times actually, these spirits are very rude and they'll call you names. And you just kind of say, hey, man, that wasn't very nice. I'm being nice to you. Be nice back. Sometimes they'll stop being mean like that. Sometimes they won't. If they were a butt in reality, it's not far-fetched to say that not reality in life, then it's not far-fetched to say that they wouldn't be when it's not.
Right.
So, it's just a common thing.
Absolutely.
So this is, I kind of fast forward a little bit. This is where it's starting to pick up more and more and more.
Those are set up to my iPad downstairs.
You're back.
My back.
So a little, I didn't realize what she said. This was another one of my faults. I misunderstood what she said because I didn't see the phone in time. I thought she meant your back. No, what she actually says, you are back.
Yeah.
So, and I just, but it actually, this led into a conversation that confirmed something else, and we'll kind of hear that here.
Okay. Are you recently?
Where is it?
What are you looking for? I'll do my best to help you. My back. I wonder if they're back here. The patio. When you said you're back, did you mean on the patio? Camera. Yes. Was that you who lit that up?
So what I was asking her on this here, was that you who lit me up? Before I'd ask him, because I had one of them little cat toys on the table. And I asked him, I said, light this ball up for me. Let me know you're here. And as soon as I said that, instead of lighting that ball up, they turned the motion sensor light on my camera on the back side of that room.
Okay.
Now this camera had popped on multiple times during this interview with them. And we were too far away to trip it off. So something was kept moving in between us and the camera, setting off the motion sensor. And that's what I was kind of hitting at on this one here. Was that you who set that camera off? Because my camera is round like a ball. So
Okay.
it sits on a magnetic plate right is there, so I can adjust it free will without having to play with a bunch of stuff. So it looks like a ball.
Okay.
See, this is amazing. This is why I love this. I see you turn it on from time to time. Is that you?
Fortunate.
Fortunate. I bet you are. I am fortunate for being able to talk to you. Thank you so much for communicating with us. You can touch this ball right here. If you tap it, it will light up. And that could be an easier way for you. So I'm going to fast forward through some of this. War, church, true, I need, enemy listening, angered. Trying to get into some more of this. Okay, here's a good one.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
I think it is really great that you're communicating with us. I am very pleased and grateful. Thank you. So they'll ask you questions like this from time to time in an investigation, or for me, they do. They'll ask you questions from time to time like this, and just way to communicate. And there's been several times, like during an investigation, the Shade Beaver Bar and Grill investigation I did. I had a woman that was following me all over the bar, no matter where I went. She would follow me and communicate with me in this bar, and she kept saying, "I like you. I'm going to go home with you." And that, no, you can't do that. I mean, this was going on during the Shade Beaver Bar and Grill investigation I did in Everton, Missouri. The Pythian Castle. I had a little boy, Petey. I had a little boy named Petey that came from his toy room into the next room where I was at, talked to me, go back with me to his toy room, and was trying to get me to play tag with him. Yes, thanks, Vicky. I can't see the game. I appreciate that.
Good news. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, good news. Yeah. I just cheer along.
So this is, I don't know if this is something you've run into or not, but once you start getting a rapport like this, where they're finally starting to communicate, they're asking you questions, they're answering questions, you'll get where they'll follow you around. And that's the trust. That was what I spent time doing there. This first EVP was building trust with these so that they will communicate. Because in the end, I'm trying to get their story.
Mm-hmm.
That's
absolutely
me.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I really do every investigation. I say right up front that we would want to investigate more than once. It's like just investigating once really isn't doing too much to further any more kind of knowledge for us. If it's a situation that it's like go in there and take care of business, that's fine. But if we're investigating like a known haunt, like an abandoned, not abandoned, but like an empty mansion that we go to quite often, and it's used for filming. It's been in a lot of movies and in recent TV shows as well. But we're in there quite often, and we're starting to get, like you said, like responses, or they're communicating with us. They know our names. I'll go in there and ask, does anyone remember what my name is? And we'll get clear Amanda. We'll get clear Amanda Quills even. They know who my son is. Now, my son's been investigating there for years. Now, when he was probably early 20s, he's 30 now. When he was in his early 20s, he was like the youngest on the team. And there is what we just call him the butler, but he takes care of everything there. But he was really bothered that Nathan was there. So we were doing EVP sessions, and all we were getting was like, Nathan, go to bed, Nathan, like just yelling at my son and following him around and, asking him what he's doing. And like, it was pretty late at night. So the only thing we could think is he probably was taking care of, there was a girls' school there for a while. So, and they would sleep there. It was like a boarding school. So he probably was taking care of making sure all the kids were staying in bed and following curfew and such. So we think that's kind of neat. But, if we hadn't kept going back and introducing and gotten to the point where they were ready to discipline us. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I just looked. I was like, dang it, I forgot to record the last one where I actually had that communication I was talking about this morning.
Oh no.
Because I was trying to get set up for the next EVPs, and because it was the one I asked when it said, I'm a relative son, and I was asking, are you my mother? Because my mother has passed away. And then I asked, can you talk to our relatives from our past? And it said
Right.
sometimes. So, Firewater, you're 100% correct on that. Yeah, I don't need one stalking me here at the house. I've had that issue before. Yeah, but yeah, no. Deidre has a question. Have you and your son investigated the Pink Palace Hotel?
That's funny. I know exactly the place you're talking about. I actually grew up like minutes from that Pink Palace Hotel. No, we haven't. Mostly because it's not really active. It's a big hotel it's closed down. I think they use it mostly for filming and such. But I know for a while they were doing public ghost hunts in there just to kind of earn money and to get by. Which I think was like a really cool situation if you're going to learn how to use equipment or just to kind of go for that experience. It was really cool. But for actual investigation, that wasn't really open for that. Or which is what's I thought it'd be like a cool like training zone. I think so no, we didn't get a chance to, but as far as we know, it's not being paranormal anymore. So yeah, it's interesting when buildings do that, like change management and all of a sudden they're not haunted.
Well, and that's another thing. Like I was talking to these people, like the gentleman who opened up the building for me, so that I can get in because Mary wasn't available to do it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He owns a couple businesses on commercial. He took me to a place that they unearthed that they didn't know they had in their building. And man, I mean, me and Yessie didn't even hit the door. And I mean, we were just overwhelmed feeling where you can feel the paranormal activity in this building. And I looked at him, I said, doing construction. And he goes, yeah. And I said, opened up doors, sure as I'll get out. He's doing construction, and in this whole building, he's revamping this whole building from top to bottom. And I was like, this will kick up paranormal activity like freaking crazy. I said, that's what I'm feeling is you've really, really, really kicked up the paranormal activity in there. And he took me down to see this room, and it was an old French style vault. Now, this thing was here before the building was built, and had a natural spring under it, and was limestone block or bricks used to build this old French style vault. And I looked, I said, you realize what you got here, don't you? He goes, just kind of looked at me and grinned. I said, you got limestone and you got running water right underneath it. You've got one big ass conductor. I said, you're going to have a ton of paranormal activity. He just kind of grinned and goes, yep. And there's a chance I may be able to do a paranormal investigation in this place, which if I can, I'll really want to. But it was really cool. They didn't know it was there. They were busting this rock out of the way, and all of a sudden it opened up into this cavern, and they stuck a camera down there, and they noticed, hey, we have another room here we didn't know about. It wasn't on the floor plans of this building. And they went in, man, they poured concrete and made a nice little step going down to this nice little building. And it's just a huge, huge, huge old style French vault. And you can see the scorching on the inside of the limestone. I said, there's been a fire here before. He's like, well, you see that? It's look, all this black. It's all over this limestone. There was a fire here one time for whatever purpose. I don't know. But that generally, when you get that black scorching like that, that's from a big fire. Could they used it to have sealed it, possibly, to seal the mortar? That could have been where the fire came from. But there was also a massive fire there at one point in time. So.
I was going to say, yeah, most places have had a big fire, especially, and a lot of times they just built right over it just to rebuild. What you're saying with the natural spring, we have a building here. It's an old train station in New Westminster, and it's it's a restaurant now. But in their basement. It's like it's very, very natural. They have like a waterfall in their changing room where the employees change. Just yeah, it's really left to the elements. And yeah, just when you were saying that, like you have like basically a conductor down there. It's the same thing with them. It's one of the most haunted buildings in New Westminster. It's yeah. It's an old train station, but we all know it as the Old Keg, which is a Canadian steakhouse.
Heck yeah, man. I'm trying to get ready because we're getting close to the 1 hour mark where I usually do one commercial. So I'm getting something set up real quick. I'll play the Saga Grimson Book 1 teaser when we're ready. Vicky, I have an app called GhostTube that works really good because I don't have the money. I'm looking at trying to save up money for a really good box where I don't have to use that because I want to free this up for my thermal camera. And I can't run my thermal camera and do an EVP session at the same time. So once I get a little bit of money saved up where I can get one of those EVP machines that can do the same thing that this is doing, that's what I'm going to be doing. But for right now, I'm using an app called GhostTube. Hey, Ike, good to see you. He was at this point, I need a stalker in my life. Heck yeah, man. Portal power with those factors with water and lime. Yeah, I mean that, Deidre. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean it really is. And this is something I've talked about on my show and other people's shows many times. Is like if you have places that's got limestone or it's got water, you're going. This has just been my experience. There is tons and tons and tons of paranormal activity because it's an energy source. It is a conductor. It's very, very, yeah. Deidre says, love New West.
Yeah. It's where I am right now.
Yes. I love it, Deidre. If I didn't have to have my security cameras hooked up to my iPad, I would probably run the app on that instead of my phone so I could free it up for my thermal. But that's just not the case. I need it for my my security cameras because I got 4 security cameras that I could set up like I was showing in them videos in the beginning so I can keep and monitor 4 different locations at one time. Top of the hour. Thank you, Roxanne. I'm going to play one short commercial here. It's going to be about my Saga Grimson book. So that was artwork and animation that I created. What Grimson is fighting all throughout that book. That's why I made that commercial. You know, he fights vampires, he fights werebeast, he fights Jotnars, frost giant Jotnars. He fights the Draugr zombies. He fights Draugr. He fights different things. So I created all that artwork and animation, and that was what that is. So that commercial kind of tells you what that book's about.
That's exciting.
Deidre says, I swim at a place with tons of quartz and salt water, and I have total good vibes. That's a good place. Yeah, that's going to be good for cleansing your body and soul as well. You still haven't used that fire water? I know you've been kind of hesitant because you're like, oh my God. Thank you, Deidre. I know, so a lot of people will tell you, oh, I don't do EVPs in your home because you're going to invite that stuff in your home. And I say, man, if you realize how many ghosts is around you every single day in your home and outside your home, that's why I don't really subscribe to that. It's my feeling. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But man, we're surrounded by ghosts all the time.
Well, I do say quite often people like I've never seen a ghost. I don't know what I do if I see a ghost. And I'll say that you know of, like you've never seen a ghost that you know of. Like we don't know what we've seen or if everything is there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because you know we have seen and we just yeah just thought it was a regular person right there every day. When it comes to EVPs in the house and such, it depends who it is. Now if it's you, I would be like, yeah, have at her. If it's just someone he's called us for help and has been doing EVP sessions in their home, I would probably advise against that. If yeah, if you just want to see what's going on and you're not 100% sure if this even is for you, I would recommend doing it somewhere else, not doing it at your house. And especially if we're looking into like there's some recorders on apps, like we're talking about apps, and just in all honesty, there are apps out there that are just bogus. Like let's be honest. And if you don't know the difference and you don't know what you're looking for, you could get something that's going to terrify you and terrify your house or your family. And I don't recommend that. And I just think that there's not enough of kind of disclaimer on that of how much these are just for entertainment purposes. Like this isn't, you can't quantify any of it. And even a lot of the stuff that we get, it's like, we're the people doing it and we do know what we're doing. However, it doesn't mean that we can 100% say that it's paranormal or not paranormal or safe or not safe. So just be careful with everything you do. But yeah, I'd say that just that little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I was hitting at earlier, there's times that you'll run into a place that's paranormal. Oh, no, I didn't. I forgot to say. No, there's times you'll actually run into a place that's paranormal, and it seems like paranormal activity. And then during the investigation, you go, "Holy crap! This thing ain't paranormal. This is supernatural, and this thing is not good." Sometimes, I mean, these things can mask their presence from you. I mean, even with me, generally, I'm really good at picking up on these negative supernatural entities in these buildings. But I have been mistaken before and walked into a building. Man, everything feels great. We're doing good. Yeah, let's kick this off. I come back at another date, start kicking it off, trying to get everything figured out, and then all of a sudden, just bam, you get blasted with just ton. So this is when I say negative energy, folks. This is the only way that I can describe what I feel. It's hard to describe what I'm touching into. When that comes to that energy field, it's just for me. It's like negative energy is the best way I can describe it. How I feel from me to you, and you'll get hit and you'll know. I mean, just like that instant down there on that werewolf deal. I mean, from the second I stepped out of that truck and that thing was trying to get me to come over to where it was, the very second I stepped out of that truck, I knew that was negative. It's just you feel it. So the best way I can describe it is it's the negative energy. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, and that's like this is important that you do know you've felt enough energies and you've been around enough stuff to know when to be careful and when to I always call it like my spidey sense or what have you. And it's very good to clarify that within yourself, because just because it's strong doesn't mean it's negative, but at the same time, just because it's strong doesn't mean it's not too. So it's good to, I mean, like anything, like with the food we eat, we know what kind of reaction we're going to have to it.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, I've ran into supernatural entities. I mean, I've had elementals messing with me when I was live with William before. I was like, man, I can feel it here. It's a very, very strong presence. And William goes, that's an elemental. I said, that's kind of what I was thinking. I kind of picked it up. That's what it felt like. It was something old, but very positive and very good energy. Deidre had a question. Amanda and Eric, may we know what you think shadow people are? I'll let you answer first this time, because I want to look at it. I need to get this. Okay. I can answer what you can. It don't matter.
No, I can go right ahead. I think that I believe that they're a little bit more I don't know, like hidden than we know. a lot of people have said that they're just like to the beginning or the end of a spirit or a ghost coming or going. I think it's more like interdimensional than that, and I think it's a good indication. Like, even like with dreams, and if you think of Hatman and you think of all these kind of other entities, I think that that's kind of where they're coming from. The same as black dogs. The same as yeah. I'm going with the interdimensional and like the other planes and such. And yeah, and I'm a very strong believer that once you start looking for them or looking at them, you'll never stop seeing them.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've ran into shadow people that didn't have hardly any energy field to it alone, and I took that was something trying to manifest, but it just didn't have the power to do it. So it was kind of like it wasn't really a figure; it was more like a dark, shadowy shape. I mean, it was like you can see that was trying to form into a person, but just couldn't. Then I've ran into very human looking shadowy figures, and they've always had not very pleasant energies to them. So for me, I think it's two different kinds. It's really on what you're seeing of what it is. I could be wrong, but that's just what I've ran into. Firewater says, rumor has it that someone died in the house that I live in, and I thought about using Ghost Tube. I've done that before. I mean, I really have. Yeah. Roxanne has a question. Have you gone through a old building that was built on an old cemetery, and was it scary? You'd be believed how often that actually happens. That happens quite often, and you can tell.
In British Columbia, there was a whole town built on top of a cemetery that unfortunately recently it did burn down, but like the entire town, which it was devastating, a devastating loss. It's taken, I think it was about 3-4 years ago that happened. But once when the town was still thriving, someone had a house and had a little back balcony and wanted to expand it and get a hot tub going, and they found tombstones underneath. And they're like, well, this is strange. And they ended up looking into a whole town, and it was all a cemetery in the past. And then nobody knew about it. But the town itself was absolutely amazing, just like really great energy and good people. And a great neighborhood, other than it's not there anymore. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe that had partially to do it. But I know that with them rebuilding and stuff, they're taking a lot of more consideration into where they're rebuilding and kind of bringing that cemetery back into let's say on the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up. The comment thing jumped on me again. I had to get back to where I was. It jumped me up close to the top again. I'm like, oh wait, I've already seen that one. Yeah, Melissa 100. I mean, you can sense an evil presence. For me, I can sense an evil presence way easier than I can a good one. But I mean, you can still sense a good one. It's just for me. If something's not evil but kind of good or trying to hide, you can lightly feel it. I can feel it's there, but not like I can when it's actually interacting with me. And then all of a sudden, bam, I get it, and I was like, okay, this is a positive energy, but it's it's not going to do anything. But I've noticed if they're trying to hide, I can still pick it up, but it's very, very hard. I've got to really, really concentrate. Do you mind? You're being rude. Thank you. And for me, I've really, really got to concentrate on if it's what I'm actually picking up, or if I'm not picking something up from somebody outside of the building, which is something that if you're in tune to this stuff, you have to understand there's times that you're going to pick up somebody's energy from outside of a building too, because people have energies as well. You can tell somebody's pretty good by their intentions, by their energy, if you can feel it. And that's happened to me before. I swear that there's an energy here. I could feel it. I could feel it. I could feel it. Come find out I was dead wrong. It was somebody outside that building, and they weren't the friendliest of people. Right.
And you think about it too, like we have like intuition for a reason, and it was to keep us safe. So that's the first thing that we're going to pick on is that kind of it's our risk assessment. But yeah, it's going to warn us to get the heck out of there or what have you. That's what our intuition is there for.
Oh yeah. Roxanne says, Edie, there's a graveyard with a headstone on the side of the street in Carthage. It's been there over a century. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be surprised. I mean, that's another thing. Like, if I had a way to record underwater, which I can record with one of these GoPros underwater, so I need to break out my dive equipment because I want to go into Table Rock Lake and do a paranormal investigation under the water of Table Rock Lake because the original Shell Knob, which was one of the towns that was flooded when they created Table Rock Lake, they didn't remove all the cemeteries from there. And I know the cryptid activity is like extremely high at Table Rock Lake, but I also know there's a ton of paranormal activity there too. So if I can get it worked up and I can get down there and do a dive, I want to try to do a paranormal investigation underwater, which is going to be hard for me to answer questions. It's pretty much me swimming around trying to catch up because can't really talk underwater. But I want to try to do that because I know you can pick up paranormal activity underwater. I've seen it firsthand. You can do that. I just don't have the equipment where I can talk and ask the questions while I'm doing it. So basically, it's just me underwater doing it. Yeah, Dieter, it is. Hey, Urso. William's got a question for you. Amanda, do you think spirit leaves this world or just shift to another density?
I believe that yes, they will leave our physical world and then go on to another density. So both yes, but no, I do believe that there is you do move on. You move on. The question is then how are we communicating and how are we getting through to each other on that? And I think that's where us as researchers and investigators come in handy. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing is bridging that communication.
Yeah. Roxanne, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I grew up on Table Rock Lake. Man, we're up 21-16.
Ooh, I'm going to Google Table Rock Lake after this because I'm curious. Like, how did it get its name? What is Table Rock Lake?
So Table Rock Lake is a man-made lake. Now it's had a couple issues before. Like the original town of Shell Knob was built, and when they dammed up the river, so it was down in the low basin. Some bandits tried to get away, blew the dam, flooded the river out the first time, or flooded the town out the first time. They re-dammed it up and then rebuilt Shell Knob. Then they decided, hey, we're going to make a lake out of this place. So they moved the dam down further. And so the original Shell Knob and the second Shell Knob are both under Table Rock Lake. Oh, wow. I grew up around Shell Knob, Missouri. I love that place. I've got kin down in that place. You want to talk about old magic of the Ozarks? I mean, this is something I've talked about on the show many a times, and I've talked about on Williams too. Mountains have old magic. Ozarks are one of the oldest mountains in the world. They've just been eroded down. Just because the mountain itself is eroded down does not mean that magic has left them mountains. And
sorry,
there's a lot. You're all good. I was getting a kick out of it. There's a lot of magic in the mountains, which I live in the Ozark Mountains, so I deal with that stuff all the time. You know, with the fae, with the cryptids, and this other stuff. And in Table Rock Lake, and I think it's because of the limestone and the fact it's a big lake that there's a lot of that there as well. I could be wrong. It's just one of my theories.
That's cool.
Sir, I love cemeteries. I do geological research, and I have to do my boots on the ground research. There has been times where I get near a certain grave, and I can sick on my. Oh, yeah, I hate when I get some really bad energy and I get sick, Melissa. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. That happens. That happens a lot. True, it could be nerves and it could be adrenaline, but there is times like you'll get a really heavy, really negative energy, and it'll make you sick. stomach. I mean, it'll make you lightheaded. It'll make your energy just like absolutely plummet, and you
Yeah.
get sick. I mean, it's just like, and then you can get away from that area, and after about 10, 15 minutes, you can feel yourself starting to get better. But something in that area just completely annihilates your spiritual side of you.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if that's happened to you, but I've been in places in
Hmm.
like woods or buildings that's happened to me at.
Absolutely. There's an area here, Glenbrook Ravine, that it does that, and it just yeah, it depletes you. You have to go have a nap. It's just drains what you have in you. Mhm. And there's elementals. There's human spirits and then non-human spirits. There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, Deidre. Yeah, I mean, Appalachian's got a lot of magic in there too.
Hmm.
Vicky says you don't look old enough to have a 30-year-old son.
Don't do the math.
Please no.
Yeah. I'll take this as a compliment. Thank you.
Deidre says the Shawnee people talk about little peoples. There's actually many, many cultures that talk about little people. I mean, many of them. Some of them good, some of them probably ought to stay away from.
Yeah, that's very big in my culture. Is little people, very big. The little people are big. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Urso says you could be merging with entities' energy and feeling their sickness by be interesting to know why they died to confirm. And that is true. I mean, that has because I've had an instance where I was doing an investigation on an old warehouse, and this was I was like, I think I was around 25, 27 ish, somewhere around in there when I'd done this. And it was one of those times that I got really, really sick to my stomach. And I didn't hear it at the time, but I had a digital recorder going. When I went back and listened to it later on, the guy died of tuberculosis. And he had worked there up until he actually died on that factory floor. So, I mean, is it the same? I don't know. But it was kind of cool how I was getting one of those where I was really sick, and then I catch a whisper going tuberculosis.
Oh wow!
Died. And that was what I caught on that digital recorder.
That's wild. I investigated a hospital in Vancouver, and it was the same thing. I was getting just like I would have a headache. I'd have a headache in certain areas. And then another area was like my stomach, and I was just in a lot of pain. And then there was a time where I felt like someone was following me all the time and laughing at me. And it was around that time that I realized, okay, what area are we in? And we were in the, and that at that time it was like the mental health wing. And before that, it was that where my stomach hurt. It was basically the innards wing, but everywhere it followed where we were. So it was almost like I was like, my symptoms were exactly which part of the hospital I would have been in at that time. It's actually, I do talk about that on, I think you guys have haunted hospitals or not. But it's I know you're a big fan of TV shows, so, but they're I do talk about it on there. I just remembered that. Yeah. So it's kind of, it overwhelmed me. I had to leave the hospital a few times and just kind of get, fresh air and ground myself and go back in. And it was odd.
That is one reason why I can't stand hospitals. I mean, and not only because I don't like going to doctors. I'm stubborn. I'm hard-headed. I try to take care of things myself. But every time I go into them, it's overwhelming. I mean, just all the negative energies and all the other energies. It's like a freaking whirlwind is the best way I can describe it. And it really messes with me psychologically. It's overwhelming every time I go into a hospital. So there's several times, like if I go to a hospital, I've got to take things with me to get my mind focused off of what's going on around me and on something else to recharge, or I've got to leave for a little bit and come back because if I'm just bombarded with all this energies, all this stuff is just, I don't know. It's like a flood. I guess is the best way to describe it. And it's every hospital I've been into, it's like that. Ursula says lung issues, coughing up blood for tuberculosis. Yeah, exactly, Ursula. And that's why I thought it was weird. And that's why I can't confirm that's what was causing that feeling. But it's interesting. I had that feeling, and that was what I got. Deidre says, I have mapped everywhere my ancestors lived in North America and pay respect to the ancestors and native people who live those whose land that was taken where I live in Cowichan Valley, where the land is very talkative. Wow.
Oh, I bet. And like on the island, it's absolutely, it's healing. It's healing. You go into, it's the Pacific Rim. I don't know, but yeah, there's like we have our own rainforest, and it's just it's spiritual, but it's healing. It's you could just go in there and you can feel it, and you can hear the spirits talking. You can hear their energies, even. Like, it's absolutely, you can hear the trees. It's beautiful, and it's it's so sacred, and it's so important. But every time I go on that island, I'm just like, fulfilled. Like, just, the island itself is medicine. It's just, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful, sacred part of this world. And I'm absolutely, blessed to be able to visit it. So yes. The Pacific Rim National Forest. There we go. Thank you. I was like, is that a movie, or am I making this up? Like, no, thank you.
I tell you, I was in the Marine Corps and I was in the Army, and being in the Marines, what I did in the Marines, I've traveled this world all over. I was an 0331 machine gunner, but I was SOC, MSE, Scout Snipers, Yankee Whites, and ABC. I've done a lot of stuff in the Corps, and I loved it. I loved it, man. Although it pissed me off because every time I try to go to like a powwow or go to a sweat, I'd get told by the battalion sergeant major I can't do that because they don't recognize that. But it's always pissed me off. That's why I stopped dancing powwows, is because I couldn't do it no more. Then I come back and then I'm not connected with the people I used to be connected to go back and dance. And what sucks is I missed, oh my God, man. You're a dude. I don't know how to explain it. When you're dancing, you're like in another world, man. It's just, you start feeling the heartbeat of Mother Earth with that drums, and you just start feeling it. And you're just like, oh yeah, you're getting pumped, man. And then all of a sudden you're just transported. It's amazing. I love it.
Yes. Guess who else is a dancer?
You?
This guy. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
So yeah, you know what I'm talking about, man. Get that drums going. I mean, your body just starts.
You're a little bit taller.
Earth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm 5'9", man. I'm not that tall.
But you'll feel like you're 6'3".
Yes. Oh my God, I miss it so much. My regalia, it got burnt up in the fire. Well, I had a fire down here when we was younger. Man, I spent all this time working on this bad boy. It had it banging. I loved it. Lost it in the fire. I was. There's only 3 things that survived. There was 3. This fire was so hot it bent it bowed the frame of the trailers. How hot this fire got, and only 3 things survived at it. And this is the only part of this trailer that didn't really burn a whole lot. And that was 2 Bibles and my Bowie knife. But I never used my Bowie knife again after that because of the heat. That was a lot of heat, so I knew that knife wouldn't be good.
That's smart.
But yeah, but I was in Kyushu, Japan. So when people think about Japan, it's not mainland, it's not Okinawa, which you don't ever tell Okinawans they're Japanese. They get pissed. I was in Kyushu. Kyushu fits what I always thought Japan looked like. So I was up in the Buddha Mountains, and they have a hot spring, sulfur hot springs from the volcano there, and you soak your feet and stuff in it. And I tell you what, you can literally feel that stuff reverberate through your body when you're doing that. So I mean, these natural places with this natural energy like this, you can truly feel it. And that's how it was for me. You know, I mean, I'd been hunting Monkey Mountain all day, been down to the Croc Park, and I mean, I've been to all these other places, and I was up, man. I seen one of the original sumo rings. I mean, this stuff was just amazing. And I stopped and soaked my feet in that sulfur hot spring, which they boiled eggs and other stuff in this spring too.
Wow.
Night and day, dude. I mean, you could tell it shot through you.
Wow.
Deidre says, go to Bright Angel Park.
Bright Angel Park.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll write that down. I'm not too sure where it is. I'm assuming it's on the island. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to be on the island pretty quick here. So I'm excited. So I'll check that out.
Yeah. Urso, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. I know what you mean on that. You know, I my true love, I lost her at a very young age. So I know what you're going through on that. And I swear I feel her from time to time. So, I mean, I kind of get what you're saying on that. You're welcome, Deidre. It was my pleasure. I'd do it again in heartbeat. Yes, I said NBC or so. Nuclear, biological, chemical. Dance was not meant for entertainment and fun. It's a calling. Yes, or so you're absolutely, yeah. Deidre says, hey, man, that is so cool. Love powwow. I do too. God, I miss it. And the food and the fellowship that these things are just, y'all, you can't explain it. Like the one powwow that I've not been to that ever since I was knee high to a grasshopper's ass, I've always wanted to go to was the Red Earth powwow down in Oklahoma. One of these days, I am going to make it to that powwow.
Road trip, we're all going.
Freaky, yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. Yeah,
it's such a workout.
Yeah. Roxanne says, when I was a nurse tech at the Freeman East, there are cold spots in different parts of the hospital on all floors. That's a very good point. So one of the theories is cold spots is an indication of paranormal, which I've ran into that several times. I'm not 100% going to say, yes, it's paranormal, but I'm on that fence line where I'm going, I've seen enough evidence in my investigations to suggest that there is a very high possibility that is true. I just not have been able to get that definitive going, yes, that's paranormal yet. I don't know about you guys, but that's for me.
Well, being that we're the cold spotters and we are cold spotters, yeah, we definitely subscribe to that thought. But we also are we're looking for, so if the temperature's going down and we're in the nighttime, I mean, that's pretty natural too. So we're looking for the hot spots. It's funny because that we always say that we gotta find it when it comes back up to that original temperature and what caused that. It's for us, it's really a good reminder to look at all aspects and to look at all possibilities. And are we looking for the right thing? Are we looking for a cold spot? Are we looking for temperature to go up? And why are we looking? So yeah, I like cold spots and I love cold spotters.
Yeah, man, I've just, like I said, I mean, I've had enough of it to where I'm pretty much, I'm teetering on going, yes, this is true. I just have not had that one huzzah moment where I go, yeah, this is paranormal. Because there is too many factors. Some of these places that investigate, there's too many factors that could cause a cold spot. But the reason why I'm on that side of it going, I'm a firm believer it probably could be, is because I've been in places that there absolutely is no way there could be a cold spot, and I found it, and my hairs have stood up, and I've gotten EVP hits like crazy, and I've been touched and stuff like this. And that's why I said I'm pretty much teetered on saying, yes, 100% this is, but I just don't have that huzzah moment yet.
Yeah. The huzzah to give you the huzzah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Melissa, I mean, I'm telling you, just my personal experiences, every single hospital, no longer functioning or functioning, the paranormal activity in these things is just through the freaking roof.
Definitely.
It really is.
And Georgia is amazing. I love Georgia.
I was down in Fort Benning, Georgia, because when I got hurt in the Marines and I couldn't do infantry no more, because I took a bad spill out of the helicopter and kind of a bad spill humping down a mountain. I couldn't do infantry no more, and that was all the Marine Corps had. So I ended up going to the Army. And then shortly after that, I was stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia for a little bit. And I'm telling you, hands down, Hawaii, the single most haunted place I've ever been in this entire world has been Hawaii. Georgia is propping too, though.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I feel really blessed that I got a chance to really to check out Georgia when I was there. Yeah. Don't pick on me.
Brother William, I can honestly see you doing that. No kidding. I can 100% see you doing that, bro. I have 30 yards as or I think you mean 30 years, Vicki. 30 years as a trauma nurse in the same hospital, tons of deaths. You can feel them. Yes, you can.
And the emotions that go with that too. The emotions that go with all of that. It's, yeah.
You better not ought to whoop your ass. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I've had people tell me that the old St. John's in Joplin was in the 2011. Yes, it was. The park is there, and people have been touched and hearing voices. Yeah, I remember I was there when that one hit, Roxanne. I was in a town right next to it. That tornado literally jumped over where we was. I was watching everything happen, land, and then it hit Joplin. I've been in so many tornadoes, man. I like tornadoes. I used to chase them when I was younger. I'm too fat and lazy to do it nowadays, so it's kind of hard to chase tornadoes now. But it's a thrill. It's a thrill.
No one can say that you've lived a boring life.
Man. So this is funny. I've told these people this several times, but when I was stationed in the Marines, I was at Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. And our house, mine and my first wife's house, was right next to the volcano, which the rifle range was at. Right down the hill from us, next to the ocean, is an old tombstone from a World War II Marine. And we used to have a World War II Marine that would walk in our house and would sit there at the foot of our bed staring at us. And I would have to look up. It's like, dude, me and my wife's getting to have some, marital time here. Do you mind? And he would walk through the wall and go to my stepson's room and watch over my stepson. I mean, this was damn near a nightly occurrence. We had this World War II Marine vet doing that.
Wow.
Melissa said we were stationed at Fort Gordon from 93 to 98. Oh, I guarantee you guys probably had a lot of stuff there, Melissa. I was at the Waimea Falls, and it was super spooky. He felt really amazing, though. Oh, dude, Hawaii is just, God dang, Hawaii. I mean, just Hawaii. I want to go back, not as being a Marine. I want to go back just because of the stuff I've seen there. I missed the tornado by 5 minutes. No kid, you got lucky, Roxanne. I mean, it was both cool and shitty with everything that happened, but seeing the amount of power that these twisters have is mind blowing, but the aftermath ain't so much. I'd be fibbing. The only time Eric lived a boring life is when he was boring holes here. Dude, if you ain't never tried to dig a hole or a trench in Missouri, Southwest Missouri, y'all don't know. One thing Missouri can definitely grow a ton of is daggone rocks and clay and the limestone and everything. Dude, it sucks. My Mother's Day event, I was living there at the time. Oh, dang, or so. Oh, did you, Roxanne? I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, it was just, that thing was, they're still recovering in some areas from that tornado. It was nasty. I've told this story on here before. Have you ever heard of the night marchers in Hawaii?
Yes, I have. And I'm absolutely really wow. 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 Tell me about it. I need to know. I need to know. Or maybe you've already told the story on this before, so maybe I'll find out
I
more.
have, and a couple weeks ago during my every Saturday I have a show called Campfire Chats with Eric and guest, and it's a place where people can come in, a safe platform to share your experiences. So I actually pulled up on Google Earth where I watched the night marchers marching across the mountaintop next to H3 outside of Kaneohe Bay. And
Wow.
so I looked up. I was lucky. I was one of the Hallies that got to experience things that most Hallies don't. Hallies is white folks, mainlanders. They don't like Hallies.
Mm.
But I was one of the very fortunate Hallies that was able to experience things that most Hallies couldn't. So I was talking to a buddy of mine that was Samoan, and he was stationed with
Mhm.
me in my unit. He was in the same company, as I was, the same platoon and everything. And I was like, dude, is that a powwow, or is that a luau that I don't know about? Let's go to this luau. He's like,
Mhm.
nah, bro, you don't want to go to that because it was that night marchers. They kill you, bro. And so that's where I learned about night marchers. Was if you see them, you lay face down, put your arms to your side, and you act like you're dead. Now, sometimes if you say your name and you're related to them, they'll let you pass. But if you look up at them, they'll kill you. They were guards of the kings and queens of Hawaii, and even their own people were not allowed to look at them. So at nighttime, you stayed in your home because if you looked upon them, even when they were alive and roaming in flesh and blood, they would unalive you. And they still do that to this day, and they still walk the island to this day. I mean,
Amazing.
they're freaking wicked. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That's amazing. That is. I did a lot of research into just kind of the mountain beings, or and I was looking up almost. How did I stumble upon it? I think I was looking up like the night yeah, just kind of like, yeah, like mountain beings, like night stalkers, night walkers, like all of that. And I was talking to someone else who I
Oops.
believe was from Tahiti, and was telling me a few stories,
Oh.
and then I went down that little rabbit hole, and just absolutely found these stories and found them so amazing, and then took them back to my friend, and yeah, I was told some pretty intense things, and um, it's what absolutely amazing, like what is right in front of our face that we don't see, and the power and the yeah, yeah, the beauty of it, the celebration, yeah, ceremony is amazing.
Yeah. Me and Urso talked a lot about this that one day because he's over in Hawaii, so he knows exactly where I was talking about
Mm,
because he's seen them on the Pele Trail, and which is not far from where I seen mine at. Actually, within what Urso 3 miles, I think, roughly, if memory serves me correctly, from where I seen mine. But so he's very up on that culture of the night marchers. He said there was four, two women and uh, was four, then two women, then king and queen, then two more females, and then four males. And King Kamehameha, if memory serves me correctly, King Kamehameha was the actual last true Hawaiian king, and they're very tied to him. Maybe they were a Wamia as they is ruled family spot. Yeah, I mean, so the old kings and queens of Hawaii were known to be deities, gods and goddesses in flesh and blood. So when you listen to the stories about the night marchers, they're often talked about walking with kings and queens or these goddess or goddesses, and that's because they believe that the kings and queens were gods and goddesses in flesh and blood. Very common with a lot of other cultures. Um, so this is why this happened. No one dresses like they were dressed when they. Oh, sorry, I got mixed up on the conversation there. Um, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so about 3 or 4 miles from where I had my sighting is where Urso had his sighting. Dude, it's
mm,
it is both cool and frightening once you learn what happens if you see these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a legend here.
Yeah.
And you just know, like, without even being communicated, you know that you're looking at something you should not have seen, or you're no business looking at. And you do look away, but once you've seen it, and the dread will take you all the way to the edge of life itself, and right to that line that we're walking in between the two worlds. And only those who are believed to be, I don't know, like what's the word I'm trying to think of? I'm losing my words. But if you're able to walk back, if you are able to come back and not succumb to that dread and to that horror, then you're meant to walk with spirit. But that dread, that feeling you get, like that will eat your soul. That will destroy you. Like you'll never come back from it if you aren't able to stand up to it. So that's the kind of stuff that it's like, that is terrifying. Like that is absolutely, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I think I said this morning, the careful what you wish for moments that we have. Yeah, it's like, yeah, there's some big stuff out there, and there's some scary stuff out there, and yeah, walk the path.
Yeah. Urso said they're Hawaiians 15 foot tall. Yeah. Yeah. There's been several giant Hawaiians known, just like everywhere else. We talked about this before over in Lovelock Cave with the Paiute. They got tired of being eaten by these red-haired cannibal giants, and they trapped them in the cave and burnt them in there. And then they finally found out. It's like, for years and years and years, they said, "Oh, this ain't true. This ain't true." And they finally had to come out and say, "Well, there obviously was some bones in here, a big fire." It's yeah. I mean, this stuff is not uncommon, but yes, there's tons of stories in Hawaii about gigantic Hawaiians. Yeah. I believe they were considered, correct me if I'm wrong, Urso, but I believe, because it's been a while, they were considered demigods as well, if memory serves me correctly. Smurfy says, whenever I'm in Hawaii, they think I'm a native. Oh, my gosh. Firewater says, were they gods and goddesses or Anunnaki? So according to the Hawaiian culture, the Samoan culture, they were gods and goddesses. So Anunnaki was never brought up. But, I mean, with the researchers and stuff like that, that could be a possibility. I don't know. Urso says there's also stories of half the population in the past from Hawaii went to the ocean and became aquatic. Actually, I forgot about that. Yes. That is the ones, some of those were actually tied to the mermaid tales of Hawaii, if I remember correctly. I can't remember what they called them. Hawaiians had a different name for them, and I don't remember what they are. Damn. But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Amakua. Oh, yeah. Much shared between all the Polynesian. Dude, the Polynesian culture is a beautiful, beautiful culture. Now, if you're in touch with your Native American culture, you're going to see a lot of similarities between them and the Polynesians. Very, very similar. Very, very similar. And that's why I think they're all connected very well. There is differences, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of similarity between the Polynesian culture and the Native American culture as well. So, I mean, that's something to think of.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely, I'm absolutely fascinated with like all these legends that are from indigenous cultures that are just so far apart and so vast that it's so similar and so on point with each other and just, wow. Fascinating. I love it.
Urso says, I do too. It's such a beautiful culture. It really is a beautiful culture. Amakua are family spirits like the pig god and the Baiatis, the octopus god. and the shark god. That's where I think that I was thinking the mermaid one was the shark god. Urso, thank you. Sirens and mermaids. Yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of ancient cultures that talk about sirens and mermaids. Tons of them. DA will be having a show here in about 15 minutes. It's Campfire Tales. So if you guys are interested, go to YouTube to DX Machina and give him a like, subscribe, and follow. I believe he's reading part 3 of Dark Frontier.
That sounds terrifying.
Smurfy says you can literally see the culture changes going backwards from the Native Americans, Polynesians, the Filipinos, then Indonesia, and the Malaysians. I haven't really thought about that. I need to look into that, but that kind of makes a little bit of sense there. I need to look into that.
Yeah, there goes my sleep.
That is modern day. Yeah, no kidding, man. I hate that because I'm in a truck 10 hours a day at work. Because I work for a government entity, so I'm out in a truck fixing things for 10 hours a day, and all of a sudden I'll just get hit with something. And it's like, damn it, and I can't get it out of my head till I start asking around about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Roxanne. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Urso says my wife's grandmother used to go to the beach and call in the great whites. Oh wow! One of the most magical moments I had being in K-Bay, Kenyoy Bay, we call it K-Bay, was I was standing on that cliffside down from my house, and down below was where that tombstone I was telling you about with that Marine World War II soldier. That's deep enough there you can literally see the humpbacks come in right close to shore and swim and then curve around and come out. And I used to watch every winter, man, you'd watch the humpbacks come through. And it's, oh my God, it is such a beautiful thing.
Wow.
If you took a look into that, just look at the natives of each land, so many similar. Yes, Murphy, and I've talked about that several times, is if you look, I study many, many, many different religions. And every single one of them, if you study them, the core value of them are the same. Very, very, very same. Just sometimes radicals tweak it here and there and becomes, blows up, becomes something completely different than it originally was. But it's like that with any culture around the world. Ancient culture-wise, anywhere in the world, they are very, very same.
Very true.
So we got 12 minutes. Is there anything you would like to talk about?
No. How are we doing? How's the game going?
It was still 21. They were at halftime. 21 to 16. We were up 21 to 16. Let me take a look real quick. William says Amanda needs a vacation after the show. No kidding, dude. I was tickled pink when she agreed. I was like, that's so cool to have another, person.
You know what? I've been on here. I've been on this
20
thing since the sun went up this morning. Remember, the sun was burning me because I'm a vampire. To now, the sun's gone down. So I'm still here.
It's 2 minutes, 50 seconds, 56 seconds into the left of the third quarter, 22-21 Buffalo.
Interesting.
Still got a lot of game time. Of game time.
Yeah.
Like I was talking on William's show earlier, man, if you're ever down here, I'll take you out some places, cryptid, paranormal. I mean, I love that stuff. I know I've got a bunch of stuff coming up in the works this year. Hopefully financially everything works out where I can hit it. I haven't been able to go down and continue on my werewolf/dog man encounter investigation that I've been working on, because that's a pretty long drive and I ain't had the gas money to go down there yet. Because I just dropped over $8,000 putting a new engine in my truck. So the fun's a little bit.
That'll do it. Darn life getting in the way. No, absolutely. I have a team out there too. So I have a Cold Spotters branch in KC. So I'm like, yeah. So I was already planning on coming. So I'll definitely take you up on that.
Heck yeah, man. I'm from St. Joe, which is north of KC. So I know KC very well. But yeah, St. Joe is a very old town, and that's got a lot of paranormal activity
Cool.
and cryptid activity into it too. So if your
Mhm.
team's into that stuff, man, there is a
Yeah.
lot of old history in St. Joe, and they're
Mhm.
just a hop, skip, and jump away from that.
Yeah.
A lot of old castles in St. Joe, a lot of historical buildings in St. Joe. We've had
Oh, that's
Wyatt
cool.
Earp there. We've had Wild Bill Cook. Supposedly Jesse James was unalived there. I
Wow.
mean, the James gang, Coles and Youngers,
Mhm.
they're all from that area. And people
Mhm.
don't realize in Missouri, this land was inhabited mostly by Osage and Sioux. And then when the Trail of Tears came through, and that's how the Cherokee got in my bloodline, is when
Mm.
the Trail of Tears came through. My family married some Cherokee from the Trail of Tears. Um, but there's a lot of native magic in this land too. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that people can get into. That's why I love Missouri.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm
She
really
did.
excited too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh,
the original
earthquake.
post office in St. Joe, I don't know if it's still there or not, but it's a very,
Mhm.
very, very old post office and it's huge. But up on the ceiling was this big old mural where they were doing the Osage and Missouri Treaty. And it had scenes from all different lives of the Osage life all the way up until signing the treaty with them. And
Wow.
that was all up on this big mural in the ceiling of the post office in St. Joe.
Wow. Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff there.
Well,
But
St. Joe, here I come.
so I love it. I love it. I mean, there's times I miss living there, and there's times I don't. I
Mm.
don't do good in the concrete jungle. The concrete jungle really messes with my mojo. I mean,
Mm.
very negatively. I don't do good in concrete jungles. Uh, but there's still a lot of history. There's still a lot of stuff to catch. You'll be surprised. You won't be excuse me, disappointed.
Cool. Cool.
Uh, no kidding,
Yeah, and if
Roxanne.
anyone's ever in
So
Canada, like, mm, I don't want to grow up in
go ahead.
Canada.
Sorry.
No, if anyone's up in Canada, yeah, like hit us up. Well, Canada's huge, so if anyone's up in the British Columbia area, hit us up because we got lots of stuff up here in the Vancouver area, Vancouver Island. Yeah, we're ripe. We're ripe with like activity, cryptids. We have thunderbirds. We have everything. Like it's a tourism video now, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking, and the river that I'm on is just like yeah, everything, all the history, all the stories just flow right through that river.
That's a curious thing you just brought up about Thunderbirds. I just did a show about Thunderbirds. Was it last week or
Oh,
week
really?
before? What is What is your guys's depiction of what a Thunderbird looks like? Because I talk about the both different styles that people talk about when they see a Thunderbird, what they look like.
Well, we that's a good question. Yeah, because I've seen so many like the pterodactyl like ones lately. Well, no, I'm not seeing them. Like I'm just seeing more stories of them. And I saw that like where I'm in New Westminster, I would say in the 90s I saw something on TV that was saying that New West was a hotbed for these pterodactyl creatures. And I was like, I never knew that. And I was just like, that's fascinating. So I did more research into it, and that's when I've learned that these pterodactyl creatures were the Thunderbirds. Now I've never encountered one, but I know the stories. I know the stories of them, and there are humongous nests that have been found at the tops of our mountains that were full of whale bones. There's so much activity when it comes to yeah, just like things that we can't explain when it comes to our legends. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what everyone else is. That's a great question. I'm gonna actually ask that around. Yeah,
Yeah.
what are we thinking? Because I've heard from like great eagles, like beyond that size,
Yeah.
to like the pterodactyl style creature.
Yeah, I've done some artwork. I like to do my own artwork when I'm talking about
Mm.
subjects. And this is one of them I created, which was the great eagle style of the Thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, that was my point too, because you also have the pterodactyl style when it comes to the Thunderbird too, which this is stuff that I created. This is all my artwork. And that's why I was kind of curious, because a lot of the stories I've ran across as well said the same thing. Some of them will tell you that it is a giant eagle. Some will tell you that it's very pterodactyl. And so I'm kind of curious, because we know in the past there was giant eagles. Oh, I also know from the past that there was pterodactyls. So I was always kind of curious what you guys up there thought about that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's both, but I honestly think that it's time for those winged creatures to start shining. I think that they're getting more and more attention, and when it comes to the Thunderbirds, when it comes to Mothman, Flatwoods, like we have so many stories to look into. It's not all about our well, no offense, I don't want to say it out loud. Okay, no, it's nighttime. I don't want anyone to hear me. Anyway, but yes, winged creatures. Go Chiefs.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. This is truly an honor to get somebody outside my normal group when I'm doing this stuff, to kind of see what your intake on is, when I stuff I capture and my opinions on this stuff. That's why I was like, when I was talking to you this morning, I was like, dude, I would love to have her on my show, because you're outside of my normal group of people. And it's been truly insightful, and I'm truly blessed. And thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute honor to have you on my show. Thank you for coming on William's show this morning. That show was amazing. It truly was amazing. And I know we'll say the same thing. We were blessed to have you on there. You have an open invitation to this show anytime. And I know William's going to tell you the same thing about his. You have an open invitation to his show at any time too. You are a wealth of information, and thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great day. It's I didn't even know this was all going to happen. So yeah, it's been great. Thank you both. So you guys, closing out today, let me know in the comments what you thought of what some of the evidence I caught. There's still a lot I've got to go through. I have so many hours of video and audio to go through. I still got at least 10 hours of audio to go through. I haven't even touched, and I've only took a chip off of the 20 hours of video I got to go through. Sad thing about doing. We want more.
We'll be getting it. That's just a little bit of what I've caught so far. I mean, I still got a ton of stuff to go through, and I got to stitch it up. So I'll be having some more out, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a taste. I mean, these historical sites, I love history. History is, I've always said this before. If you want to know what we're dealing with, learn what our ancestors talked about. So being able to investigate historical sites like this and be able to get to interact with spirits of our past, it's amazing what you can learn sometimes. And that's what I'm always striving to do. I'm always striving to do that. Smurfy says, thank you, Amanda. I have a lot of need to reply. Seems I missed far too much. That's all right, Smurfy. Go back and watch. Urso, you're good, bro. Don't worry about it. Mad love to you, man. Mad love to you. You're good. It's just, how YouTube is, and I don't want to get dings. That's why I was like, I'm not popping that one up. So with that being said, you guys, as always, to my new subscribers, we jumped up to 572. I checked it today because I was getting on, look at some stuff. So we're growing. Thank you ever so much for all my new subscribers. To my OGs, thank you so much. Everybody give a hand to Roxanne, my mod. Roxanne, thank you so much. You are truly a help. Same as William, he's my mod. Thank him as well. You guys did great tonight. As always, everybody, peace, love, and blessings to you all. Oh my God, I about forgot. I have a poem that I wrote. It is just for the end of the show. Man, I've got so excited to talk about this, I plumb forgot about it. Give me a second. I got to pull it up here. Oh, you went to the wrong screen. This monitor. Wait for it to load up here. I work with two monitors, and usually when I'm writing, I'm on this one here that I'm on. So this quote goes, and this is what I use to close out the show every week. If you quit being a pain in the butt and actually load, we'd be doing nice. And I don't want to look at a blank screen. Hello. Get her done, get her done, get her done, done, done. You can do it one of these days. So while I'm waiting on this to load, I'll be trying to get some more stuff. I've got a lot of investigations planned for this year that I want to try to get done. About time it popped up. So I'm hoping to have more videos put out for you guys. So with that being said, there comes a time when the warrior falls. They leave this realm and be missed by all. Raise a glass and keep them in your heart. They have kept this realm safe and performed their part. Look to your veterans, your active duty, your EMTs, and the blue line. What they do or have done was walk this fine line. When the demon comes calling on your soul, they will be there to save us all. Hold them in your prayers, for they are deserving. They all have served or have serving. You guys, until next week, thank you so much. Once again, peace, love, and blessings to you all. Oops, come on, mouse.